What's good, YouTube? What's good, TikTok? If you don't know who I am, I go by the name Pushy Push. I'm a content creator on TikTok, so I have roughly about 200 videos up on that channel there. Mostly I talk about ancient history. I talk about ancient coins, the symbolism and what they mean, and how we view them in our present time. So this video is about how we view certain symbols in our present time. So there are symbols out there that we believe are good for us, or it was meant in a good manner. And I've found that a lot of the symbols that we gravitate to are actually negative in its original meaning. So let's get into it right here. Ah, this is Katt Williams. You know, he's been the talk of the day, uh, basically roughing up all the comedians out there. I was basically scrolling through TikTok and I came across this video right here. And the video caught me because I was looking at Katt Williams' hat. I don't know if this is how he was dressed after the interview. I thought he had more hair, like on his face. But what caught my eye was the hat that he had on his head. And I know something that Katt has been saying, like he's not a part of the Illuminati, and I was wondering, did he know what the symbols were on the top of his head? Some people look at that symbol and they think it means your third eye, like you're trying to tap into that inner self, your inner personal self. So I know a lot of people look at that as the third eye. On the right, there is the symbol of Horus also. But what I've learned is the historians who has been bringing us the knowledge have been twisting knowledge. So a lot of things that are good are actually bad, and a lot of things that are bad was originally good. And here's an example right here. Thousands of years ago, this symbol right here was considered to be a symbol of peace. And when the Nazis got a hold of it and did the genocide act that they did, it now is looked at as a bad symbol. And anybody who wears it is considered to be a Nazi and a hater of specific people, and this isn't a true thing. Originally, this symbol was positive, and now it's looked at as negative. And it's the same way with that eye that's on Katt's hat. It is the exact same way. So originally, that all-seeing eye was originally negative. So what you're looking at is a being inside of a fiery eye with a Mayan bowing down onto the ground. And this is the beginning of understanding what symbolism is. So I want you to look at this. So it has the fiery eyes underneath. So this is an eye, it's a being inside. So let's go back to the cat picture real quick. Let's go back there. If you look at this picture that's right on the front of his head, the eye, those are not eyelashes underneath. That's a representation of the fire that you just saw. And the only thing that it doesn't have is the beam in the middle. That's the only thing that it doesn't have. So we'll go back. Originally, in the beginning, this was negative. This was bad. And now we look at it as it is some form of positive. And some group of people, our teachers, definitely misled us on that type of information right there. Let's go to the next. You see, all our people believe that the eye is a representation of the third eye. It is not a representation of the third eye. I mean, this is the meaning of it now for our generation. But where this comes from Those who created it knows that the third eye represents a watcher, um, who is inside of some sort of vessel, and it has control over us. We go back over here to Katt. It made me wonder, does he understand what the symbols are that he have on his head? You know, pretty smart guy right there. So I want you to see something else. This is an example of that all-seeing eye and everything being shrouded in symbolism. And we're thinking that it's about enlightenment and you capturing your third eye, you going into your inner self. This is nothing to do with that. It in the beginning it had nothing to do with it. So when you see this picture, take a moment to think about what it represents to you. I've shown this to other people and they have a different take, but I have my own take when I look at this. And this is the exact same thing as this all-seeing eye. So if you look below, there is a saucer with a face on it. It's like a plate with a face on it, and the face is shaped enough to where the whole thing looks like a saucer or like a UFO. And that's telling me that there is beings that are inside the UFO. When I look at these, it looks like strings from a floating balloon. I look at it as this comes from that, like it's connected to this source, which would be, for me, a sun, like during an eclipse. That's what this looked like to me, and I tell you why. Because the rays that are going around the eyes, I've seen a lot of coins where they have like a sun ray, and then they have a triangle in the middle, and they have a big blaze of like sunlight coming out of it. So this makes me feel like this is the sun eclipsed, and your watchers could possibly come through the sun, maybe like the sun is a portal. you know Everybody might have a different interpretation on this, but at the end of the day, this has nothing to do with your third eye. This has everything to do with um, other entities and how we connect and deal with them. So everybody calls them watchers, and this is what you're seeing. This is not the third eye. So even if you look there, that is not the third eye. This is, far as I'm concerned, this is not the original meaning right here. And we'll go further. As you see, the average person looks at that as their third eye, and this is what they're trying to connect into. But this is what I consider to be the original truth. So you have a spaceship that is sitting above what would be, I guess, the eye of Horus. You have a spaceship sitting right above it, and inside the spaceship there is an eye. And that's telling you that there is something inside of there that is watching you. And all these people praise it. So all the old ancient writings or drawings do not show it connecting to your third eye. It shows you praising something that was watching you or interacting with you. You know, you see that sign right there, right underneath a spaceship. That kind of really speaks heavy for itself. I mean, that's what symbolism is. And then they put an eye inside of the ship to make sure that you understand that you are being watched and dealt with from a flying vessel. So you go back and you look at that. We are trained that this is a good thing. We are trained that this right here is you trying to connect to your inner self. when truthfully, in its original, it had everything to do with connecting with aliens, basically, or otherworldly beings. This is them watching you right here. So when I go back to Katt Williams, let's go back to Katt. It makes me wonder, does he know what he has on his head? Is he thinking in his mind, that he's tapping into his third eye? Or is he being just like the Illuminati, which does worship, what I consider to be other beings? Some would call them demons, but I don't believe that is that, so that is a Illuminati symbol right there, and it's a negative symbol, though we've been taught to look at it like it's positive. You see right here, this is an interesting one. The alien has the unk above its head. And what's important about that is because you see that unk above their head. And no matter what, there is an alien present. There is another being present. So you have this eye, there's an eye in a ship, and that looks like watchers. And then you have things like this that have interacted with man. So I don't think that this has anything to do with your third eye. So I kind of wonder, does Katt understand that, because he says he's not a part of the Illuminati, so most people will just look at that hat and go, well, he's enlightened, he's looking for his inner self. That don't mean that right there. This ultimately is what the all-seeing eye is. It is a being that has wings and it's in a spaceship. And it possibly rules over us, deals with our government, manipulates our DNA, whatever thing that it might do. But this is the real symbol of the all-seeing eye. So someone is saying this has your all-seeing eye, or this eye has something to do with your third eye. It don't have nothing to do with it. This is the real meaning of the eye, in any eye, Horus's eye, any eye. It all comes down to, even if Horus is a being mixed with some alien source. So we can go back to Katt. He has that eye on his head. I don't know if he was a part of the Illuminati. Everybody will say no, and if nobody recognizes, that person can pass and slide through. But here's the thing. I think that you cannot buy and sell without the mark of the beast. You cannot become rich or get on their TV or anything of that nature or any other commercials without being a part of it in some manner. Like, you don't have to be a part of the sex part, but you are a part. You will throw up their Baphomet sign. You will wear the actual symbol. And this doesn't have nothing to do with the third eye. This is what I would say borderline satanic, because at the end of the day, you are dealing with a being. And the Illuminati, as far as I'm understanding, it's quite possible they are working with beings, against humanity. This is where you get all the child sacrificing idea coming from, because there is something that requires them to do it. So just like you said, you see that fiery eye right there? It's the exact same thing that is on Katt's hat. It just doesn't have the bean in the inside of it. But let's go a little further to this. Ultimately, one has to believe that we are not alone, and there is a lot of history that they've kept out, that they've left out, so Here is a spaceship on a 1653 coin. It could be I 653. So that's up to the interpreter and how you view that right there. But let's say it's 1653. There is a spaceship over a city in 1653. Like we're in horse and buggy. We're not advanced supposedly at that time. But that's the point that I make about something rewriting history, something that has made things north when it was south, something that has made bad things good and good things bad. We're living in that environment. So I guess the warning is to slowly embrace the new information that's coming out to us, because we're not necessarily finding it. It comes out on Google. We don't know who put it out on Google. You know, in the 80s, there was no internet. So it wasn't like you were able to communicate like that. We're in a time where the internet is flourishing. So there's so much information, and everybody is trying to free themselves from, I guess, the old dogma, even to a degree. Even if you're religious, you're trying to correct yourself inside of that. So a lot of people is grabbing on to a lot of these symbols, and a lot of them are negative. They're not coming from a good place. Like, we got to talk even about things with the church. There's a lot of symbolism even with that. But that's what this is right here. So I just wanted to drop this video to show that. Let me just go back to here. Drop this video to show that the third eye, anything that shows an eye, is not about your inner self. In the beginning, it was about people praising watchers, people praising something that had enough power to dominate you. That is what the all-seeing eye means. So until the next time, family, thank you.